time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Feel, don't think.
Fear is my ally.
The Force will be with you.
We are encouraged to love.
Be mindful of your thoughts.
I will not betray the Republic.
Hey, your worship, I'm only trying to help.
Scruffy-looking nerf herder.
I'm not afraid.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
So it's one of those things where you kind of look at everything going on today and wonder out loud, where did we go wrong? Where did our ideas on women and men, where did they go wrong? And I kind of just, you kind of go, it went wrong when we started telling women about feminism. See, feminism used to be about allowing women to work outside the home. It used to be about the vote. It used to be about having our own money and that. Now it's LGBTQ. It's it's an attack on being fit. Being fit is racist and toxic. It's like full of toxic masculinity. Girls are told they should be ugly so they don't attract boys. And we have a population crisis, and a population implosion, in fact, that's going to ruin everything. Look at her. She's got this piercing in her cheek. That's not attractive. But she's doing it deliberately, and it's not cool. Like Molly Damon. She's got pronouns in her bio. She treats her husband like shit. And, has tried to take over Star Wars. Gail Simone, comic books. Angry, bitter, attacks people for, telling her this woke shit. Sam Maggs gets fired from writing the reboot of KOTOR because she's a feminist bitch and she's woke. We got Cynthia Olivero with that distracting nose ring, who's very proudly a man-hating, And we got Chapel Roan, angry drag queen lesbian, who says shitty things about how men make love to women. And it's look, and of course, Taylor Swift, who's so untalented that I can't, what the fuck is this even, this dance? I literally look at this and shudder to think what we've done to girls, even as I was leaving high school. I remember being in the back of the seat of the car with my little niece at one time, and my sister and my older sister were listening to NPR. This woman would come on and say her first line every day, "Men are scum." This is not the message girls need to hear, all right? We've progressed as feminists to the all boys have cooties for their entire life. And if a man wants to marry you and take care of you, that's toxic masculinity. But if he keeps abortion legal, he can be a fucking serial killer and we won't care. That's what it's gotten down to. The girl boss shit in Marvel and of course Star Wars. No one wants that. Okay, being equal to a man does not mean being superior. And equality doesn't mean we're stronger. We're not. Okay? We're not stronger than men. So that shit needs to end right now. That shit. This is what we've done to kids. We've lied to them. We've devalued young men to the point where they're going out and embracing scumbags like Andrew Tate. because at least they're getting a positive message about being a boy, all right? And this is a terrible culture right now that we've assaulted our children with, okay? Girls are getting the wrong message, okay? They're getting the wrong message in school. They're getting the wrong message in from the culture, okay? You know, and it's time it stopped. It's time these kids we're not being served well, but they absolutely think it's great. Let's talk more. Because this woke feminazi messaging has gotten everywhere. These girls, I'm related to at least two, degrade boys. They degrade themselves. They don't know how to be girls because there's nothing out there that is a role model for them as a girl. Okay? And it's like you don't know where to begin, and it's seeped into our pop culture. Okay? Star Wars. Okay? Star Trek. Girl bosses everywhere. All right? Indiana Jones, for crying out loud. But let's talk.
For 10 long weeks, the Star Wars company labored on the suburban London sound stages, bringing to life a film that had begun as an idea with George Lucas 3 years before.
How embarrassing for you. I left you a message not to come. I'm passing on The Godfather.
So, Cameron Pasha, as you all know, wrote a beautiful screenplay about Marilyn Monroe's first marriage to Los Angeles police officer and World War II veteran of the Merchant Marines, Jim Doherty. Jim Doherty was also the guy who invented the SWAT teams. He's the inventor of that. He led the first SWAT unit in Los Angeles, and he was the best shot on the Los Angeles police force. All of that makes him toxic to woke, angry feminist women who look at him as being an obstacle to Norma Jean becoming Marilyn Monroe. That is true because we would not have had Marilyn Monroe. We didn't need Marilyn Monroe, okay? No one needed Marilyn Monroe except maybe Hugh Hefner trying to get his stupid magazine started, but that's another story. Marilyn Monroe was not only an invention of the studios and the casting couch and Norma Jean's dissociative brain set, this alter ego that she used so she could live in what she thought was a normal way, because she was mentally ill. And she did, I believe, had split personalities, which is dissociative disorder. And she used Marilyn as a shield, okay? Jim knew Marilyn's emotional issues. He was able to help her through them. And when she got discovered as a model, everything that they had was gone, because she wanted to be an actress. She wanted to be Bette Davis. Was she good enough to be Bette Davis? I don't know. But the studio moguls saw her. They told her to bleach her hair blonde. She did. And Marilyn Monroe walked out the door. And there she was. A figment of everybody's imagination. Okay. Somebody that she could wear. Okay. Was she a good actress? Yeah, Norma Jean was a great actress because she made everybody believe Marilyn was real. Okay. And when she got famous, first off, we'll talk about the divorce. Jim was a merchant marine during World War II, so he was on merchant ships, which had the highest death rate in the war. The other service that had almost as high deaths the 8th Air Force, okay, which my dad was in, okay. He got a letter from her lawyers saying she wanted a divorce. He could do nothing to stop it. He gave her a life that she rejected, and she wanted children. She wanted a family that she never had. And she rejected it because she wanted the fame more. She wanted what Hollywood was, weaving in front of her face. And she was a sex symbol. Ask Pamela Anderson. Were you happy being a sex symbol? And I don't think she was. All right. Marilyn became an addict. She went into 2 abusive marriages. One was physically abusive with Joe DiMaggio, and the other was emotionally abusive with the playwright Arthur Miller, who was a big communist. Here is the issue going on here. The women attacking Jim Doherty romanticized Joe DiMaggio because he, quote, loved, quote, her, Marilyn. You don't beat the shit out of your wife and tell everybody you love her. Okay, and no, abusers don't change. There was not an ounce of abuse in Jim Doherty's body towards her. He wanted to protect her, and he might have been able to. Now, maybe she would not have been the big star that she became, but she never would have ended up dead in her bed naked, okay? She never would have, gone to mental hospitals, and I think she actually went through electric shock treatment, which made it worse. Now, we've talked about this because the woke anti-male calling guys like Jim Doherty toxic because they're normal has seeped into the Marilyn Monroe fans, and Marilyn herself was partly responsible because she poo-pooed her first marriage as boring and limiting, which bullshit. But all of her complaints or her statements are believed by the women that romanticize the actual toxic males in Marilyn's life, which were Joe DiMaggio and the casting couch guys, the photographers, and Arthur Miller. But where else has this garbage shown up? Star Wars. You guys all remember Reylo. You had a bunch of purple-haired, tatted up women with rings in their noses and cheek diamonds and, all sorts of piercings complaining about Han and Leia, and they have these gloriously semi-coherent delusions about things that were never written about, that are not in the canon, about how Kyle Ron was treated as a child, and they've basically turned Han Solo, who's a hero, into this biggest villain in Star Wars because they need him to be that way in order to rationalize their obsession with Kyle Ron and Rey. Now, we all know that was never supposed to be a thing, but when you're Kathleen Kennedy, and you're an idiot, and you don't really know anything about Star Wars or romance, you see this thing called Reylo on the internet. It's what they call shipping, which is a thing from, the last 10 years, and you want it in the movie because you think it's going to bring people to it, and all you did was drive the real fans away who don't want to see it. And therein lies the problem. And the deal is, it has poisoned the franchise in lots of ways. And the reason why it's poisoned the franchise is because it's driven, like I said, they drive people away. Now these women don't care because they want what they want. They don't, again, this is about toxic, in their point, toxic masculinity, which is a normal, healthy relationship between a man and a woman. And these people either have never had one, or they absolutely believed their professors or their teachers, or, the Chapel Roans of the world and the Taylor Swifts of the world. Family, kids, that kind of thing. They don't want that. That's not appealing to them. Now, then you ask, okay, why are they so miserable? And why do they want to make the rest of us miserable? Here's the deal. They're miserable because they're going against their instincts. All right, they see, families out there. They see this picture, which is the EU. This is a picture of Han and Leia with the twins, Jaina and Jason, and they hate it. They want Ben Solo. They want the angry, spoiled, rotten, Ted Bundy of Star Wars. Okay, or no, not Ted Bundy. Yeah, the Ted Bundy of Star Wars, the psychopath. And they don't understand why the rest of the fans are horrified by this. Now, you gotta understand, these people have been under the direction and their brains have been co-opted to believe that children and marriage are oppressive, and they're not. That's not anything close to that. And they looked at, because Carrie did write in The Princess Diarist about her affair with Harrison Ford. He is 14 years older than her. I got no problem with that. Not my business. Okay, and I really don't have a problem with it. She was, she was 20 years old. So she's old enough. Okay. They had a shit fit. So not only is the character, this one tatted up, nose ringed idiot was screaming at me that Han Solo is a drug dealer and he was an addict. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But they don't care what you know. They need, this became a religion. And when Cameron talks about the fans that he's run into being so defensive over Jim Doherty, I'm like, here you go. Here we are. This is exactly what happened with Reylo. All right. And they take a normal relationship, romantic relationship, Han Solo and Princess Leia, and they did it to Anakin and Padme, by the way, and turn it into something bad. But they take Kyle Ron in his horrible abuse of Rey and turn it into something romantic. Now, you could look at them and be, callous and say, well, they're a bunch of sex-starved, fat, middle-aged cat ladies and psychotic teenage girls, and you could be right, all right? You could be right. But it's worse than that. They don't know what a good relationship is because they're programmed not to think of a good relationship as anything other than bad. Okay? This is why Cameron's run into these fangirls of Marilyn's. Joe DiMaggio beating the hell out of Marilyn, good. Jim Doherty protecting her, bad. Han Solo with Leia, protecting Leia, saving her, them having children and having a happy life together, bad. Han Solo being butchered like a dog on a catwalk for absolutely no reason other than the made-up ones in some blue-haired land whales, disgusting imagination. Good. This is where we're at. Now think about the women in the culture that are exposing our young women to derangement and degradation and disordered lifestyles. And you've got toxic femininity. Okay, and they're not happy. They're miserable. The fact of the matter is, they are so unhappy and full of angst and worry, and they don't know why. It's because they're going against everything they're built for. Okay, and this is what we're seeing now with the Marilyn Monroe thing and Jim Doherty, and now we've got another visit from Reylo, just to put it in perspective. This is Steph, signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.